What's going on? Hope everybody enjoying their Saturday. It's the boy CJ Goodfella back with the boxing clinic. Just got done chilling with the fam, getting ready for this Andre Ward Kovalev rematch. About to take a quick nap. But let's talk about in my opinion, who's the better boxing analyst commentator for their respected television networks. Roy Jones with HBO, Paulie Malignaggi with Showtime, and personally, just from a personal standpoint, when Antonio Tarver was on Showtime, he was my personal favorite until he done what he did with the steroids and they kicked him off and he only can do a PBC spike now. He was like the best to me. He was my favorite boxing analyst commentator. When I mean boxing analyst, is kind of like a really boxing expert type of guy, a former boxer that gives his expertise. He's the pair of eyes to the main commentator, the color commentator, who kind of tries to mediate, and then you have the other boxing expert that's usually not a pro fighter but is very versed with the sport of boxing, and then you have the boxing analyst that gives you from a professional fighter's point of view. And that's what it seemed to be set up now. And to me, Antonio Tarver was the best, but when he did, it opened the door for Paulie Malignaggi to get in and put his foot in the door, and Paulie Malignaggi pretty much took the job at Showtime and ran with it. Both of them had their different styles, and I think Roy Jones has the tougher job working with Jim Lampley bitch ass, Harold Letterman bitch ass, Max Kellerman. He alright. But Max Kellerman legitimately knows the game. He's not for everybody, and not Roy Jones or Paulie Malignaggi is for everybody. But as far as because Max Kellerman's brother used to be a boxer, and I think he got killed many moons ago, I think. But start off with Roy. Roy really has a tougher job. Like I said, he has to balance Jim Lampley bullshit and Harold Letterman bullshit, and kind of really push it in perspective. That's really Roy and Max's job, is to probably try to balance the biasness of Jim Lampley and Harold Letterman and give another point of view from a true expert point of view. As far as Paulie Malignaggi's going, it's a pretty much easy setup at Showtime. The main commentator used to be Gus Johnson. I forget his name now. He's a little bit exciting, eccentric, and jumpy like Gus was, but he's solid. I can't remember his name. But then Al Bernstein is a pro's pro. I think he's the best. Opposite of the boxing expert, he's the other expert. He's not the main color commentator. He's just the expert like Max Kellerman is to HBO. I think he's the best on TV to me. He's been on TV for a long time, and he seldomly shows any bias, and that's why he's one of my favorite. He's very, very well versed with the sport of boxing. So Paulie doesn't have a tougher job as Roy Jones, where it's the balance and the bullshit and the biasness on Showtime so much. But and Steve Farhood as well, judging, he's not nowhere near as horrible as Harold Letterman. But both of these guys are smart. If we talk about in the ring, it's no comparison. I think Roy Jones could be considered, one of the top 10, really top 5 fighters if you look at his career of all time. I know he didn't fight a lot of the greater fighters in this era because he wasn't going over to Europe, and typically they didn't want to come over here. But he's one of the greatest fighters alive, and I think Paulie Malignaggi is great in his own realm because for him to become a 2-time world champion with the amount of power that he has in his gloves is very, very great in my opinion. That's he overachieved, after breaking his hand so many times, injuring his hand so many times, and to become world champion 2 times now, I think, and stay in the game as long as he did with zero to zero power. It was great to me. But Roy has a tougher job, and Roy is good at what he does, and he puts motherfuckers in check on there. And I think it's very, very close. It's pretty much choosing between them is pretty much a preference choice. Is what do you rather prefer? Paulie Malignaggi is a very sharp and smart mind, a very high IQ fighter and a commentator, and gives it to you raw. So does Roy to a certain extent, and he's not biased. Neither one of these guys are biased. They call it how they see it, and I think to be honest, I think it's dead even. It's just a matter of their preference. I can't choose one or the other. I think they two are the best in the business right now going. It's a matter of preference. I don't have a preference. I like watching both. When I choose to watch HBO, Roy Jones is the primary reason, or Andre Ward or Bernard.